Brussels 1897. A convoy of wagons rolls through the square piled high with dirt and stone. The crowd applauds. New boulevards. New monuments. A king celebrated as the architect of a modern Europe. At the exact same moment, over 4,000 miles away, severed human hands are being stacked in baskets. Not as trophies, as receipts. Each hand accounts for a bullet. Each bullet accounts for profit. This isn't a war, it's a balance sheet. Part 1, The Builder King. Leopold II ruled Belgium for 44 years. At home, he was remembered as the Builder King. Under his reign, Belgium remained neutral in a Europe defined by war. Public education expanded. Child labor laws were introduced. Workers gained the legal right to organize. In 1893, universal male suffrage was enacted, one of the most progressive reforms on the continent at the time. Belgium modernized quickly. New railways. New institutions. New civic architecture designed to place Brussels alongside Paris and Vienna. Crucially, Leopold did not rule as an unchecked autocrat. Parliament grew stronger. Civil liberties expanded. If history stopped at Belgium's borders, Leopold II would not resemble a tyrant at all. But Leopold never intended to concentrate power at home. He found another place where no parliament could restrain him. Part 2, The Empire He Never Saw. Leopold II never visited the Congo. Yet he owned it. From an early age, Leopold was fixated on colonial expansion. As a young man, he traveled extensively, observing how European empires extracted labor and wealth overseas. One system impressed him in particular, the Dutch forced labor regime in Java, which generated immense profit through coercion rather than settlement. As king, Leopold tried to secure an overseas empire through conventional means. He even attempted to purchase the Philippines from Spain. The plan failed. Belgium lacked the political appetite for formal colonial expansion. So Leopold changed strategy. He turned his attention to Central Africa, one of the last large regions not yet formally claimed by European powers. The Congo Basin was vast, resource-rich, and largely unmapped by Europeans. It was also dangerous, expensive, and politically inconvenient. In 1876, Leopold hosted the Brussels Geographic Conference. Publicly, the goal was scientific exploration, humanitarian outreach, and the suppression of the East African slave trade. Privately, the conference served a single purpose: to create a respectable cover for personal conquest. From it emerged the International African Association. Leopold positioned it as a philanthropic organization, and ensured one detail quietly fell into place: he made himself its chairman. To secure control on the ground, Leopold hired Henry Morton Stanley, famous, ruthless, and disposable. Stanley moved deep into the Congo interior. He approached local leaders with documents written in European legal language they could not read. The chiefs believed they were signing treaties of friendship and mutual protection. In reality, they were signing away sovereignty. By the time Europe noticed what had happened, Leopold already held the paperwork. Part 3, Berlin 1885. At the Berlin Conference of 1884-1885, Europe formalized the scramble for Africa. The stated goal was order, clear borders, regulated trade, and the prevention of war between European powers. In practice, it was a negotiation over ownership. Leopold arrived unusually well prepared. He brought a thick stack of treaties signed by African leaders. He presented a web of organizations with nearly identical names, each claiming humanitarian, scientific, or anti-slavery missions. And above all, he promised free trade along the Congo River, an offer that appealed directly to British and American commercial interests. Leopold did not argue as a king. He argued as a neutral administrator. That distinction mattered. By positioning himself as a benevolent, non-national actor rather than an imperial rival, Leopold avoided resistance from other powers. France and Germany saw no threat. Britain saw open markets. The United States saw an anti-slavery project. The result was unprecedented. Leopold was granted control over nearly the entire Congo Basin, not as a Belgian colony, not under parliamentary oversight, but as his personal domain. The territory, officially named the Congo Free State, was more than 70 times the size of Belgium. Its population was several times larger than Leopold's European kingdom. Yet no Belgian constitution applied there. No elected body existed. No legal check restrained him. Leopold was simultaneously sovereign landlord and sole shareholder. Part 4, when Congo became a mine. At first, the Congo Free State was built around ivory. Tusks were extracted, transported, and sold. The returns were significant, but not enough. Then came rubber. As industrial economies expanded, demand for rubber exploded. Tires, insulation, wiring, modern life required it. Leopold faced a problem most colonial powers struggled with. Plantations took time to establish. Leopold chose a faster method. He did not need plantations. He had people. Entire villages were assigned rubber quotas. The forest provided wild rubber vines, and the labor was compulsory. Failure to meet quotas brought punishment. There were no contracts, no wages, only force. The engine of this system was the force publique, a single institution functioning as army, police, and tax collector. Its officers were European. Its rank-and-file soldiers were often forcibly recruited Congolese men and boys. Their methods were systematic. Women and children were taken hostage to compel male labor. Whippings with the shikad, a whip made of hippo hide, were common and often fatal. Sexual violence was routine. Executions were public. Ammunition was tightly controlled. Every bullet issued had to be accounted for. The proof required was simple: a severed right hand. Hands became currency. Soldiers cut them from corpses from the wounded and sometimes from the living. They were counted, collected, and reported. A market emerged. Bullets traded for hands. Hands traded for survival. Rubber flowed outward. Money flowed inward. And the Congo Free State ran exactly as designed. Part 5, when the lie collapsed. In 1890, George Washington Williams arrived in the Congo. He was an American soldier, clergyman, and politician. Initially impressed by Leopold's promises of humanitarian reform, what he found instead was systematic terror. Villages emptied. Hostages held. Bodies mutilated. Labor enforced through violence. Williams documented what he saw, and upon returning, published an open letter, addressed directly to Leopold II and the international community. He accused the king of crimes against humanity, language that was still new but precise. Leopold's response was not reform, it was denial. He did not dismantle the system. He did not punish perpetrators. He hired publicists. Journalists were paid to write glowing travel accounts of carefully staged visits. Pamphlets flooded Europe, describing schools, hospitals, and benevolent administration. The Congo Free State, Leopold insisted, was a moral project, misunderstood by outsiders. But the story could no longer be contained. In 1899, Joseph Conrad published Heart of Darkness, a fictionalized account drawn from his time as a steamboat captain on the Congo River. Its imagery was unmistakable. Soon after, British consul Roger Casement released an official report detailing forced labor executions and mutilations. His findings were corroborated by missionaries, traders, and survivors. Public opinion began to shift. Mark Twain wrote a scathing satire exposing Leopold's lies. Arthur Conan Doyle joined the Congo Reform Association. Political cartoons spread across Europe, depicting Leopold as a blood-soaked profiteer. By the early 1900s, the pressure was international and relentless. In 1908, the Belgian parliament forced Leopold to relinquish control of the Congo Free State. The territory was transferred to the Belgian government, ending his personal rule. Before handing it over, Leopold ordered the destruction of the archives. They have no right to know what I did there. Part 6, Legacy. Leopold II died in 1900. He was enormously wealthy. He was never tried. He was buried as a king. It is estimated that during his 24 years of rule over the Congo Free State, approximately 10 million people died from violence, starvation, disease, and collapse of social systems. The true number may never be known, but Leopold's impact did not end with his death. The system he created forced labor for resource extraction. Enforced by private armed groups became a recurring pattern. It reshaped institutions, normalized violence, and hollowed out local governance. The Congo Free State became the Belgian Congo, later the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Yet the logic remained. In 2025, the DRC produces roughly 70% of the world's cobalt, a mineral essential to modern batteries and digital infrastructure. Armed groups continue to seize mines. Forced labor persists. Violence follows supply chains outward, just as rubber once did. The methods have modernized. The structure has not. Leopold II ruled with contracts, quotas, and distance. He transformed mass death into revenue and called it progress. A modern tyrant whose shadow never left the ground he never saw. Conclusion: Leopold II was not an ancient tyrant. He was a modern one. He did not rule through spectacle or conquest at home. He ruled through contracts, balance sheets, and distance, through lawyers instead of generals, through public relations instead of proclamations. He kept violence offshore, hidden behind paperwork and philanthropic language, far from the citizens who benefited from its profits. By the time the truth surfaced, the system was already complete and the damage irreversible. Leopold turned mass death into revenue. He turned human suffering into infrastructure, and he called it civilization. His methods feel disturbingly familiar because they were a prototype. Power outsourced, accountability blurred, profit detached from consequence. The next figure in this investigation does not belong to the modern world. The next drawer opens much deeper in time, not into industry or empire, but into scripture. Herod the Great.